Everybody, sit down. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for that very warm welcome. The first of those is Ashraf 3. And I'm told that they're viewing live today, and I certainly hope so, because I would like to send my greetings and my best wishes to those people in Ashraf 3. In a very real sort of way, they are my heroes. It probably started about 6 years ago, after the massacres at Ashraf and then Camp Liberty. Nations across the world expressed their outrage. Some sent letters, but one country did something about it, and that was the great nation, the Republic of Albania. They extended a welcome. And they said to those people at Liberty, come here, join us, live in peace and freedom. We went there in 2019, an American entourage, if you will, of visitors. I didn't know what to expect. When we got there were throngs of people lining the streets of their newly created village. They were waving little Iranian flags. They were smiling and cheering, and you could feel the warmth of their welcome. It was a complete surprise to me to see that. That night, I made it a point to sit down in conference with a number of them, actually a high percentage of them women, and they reflected back on the happy days at the original Camp Ashraf. I understood that because I had visited there actually in about 2008 when my Marines had security for the camp. And it was purely an oasis in the desert of culture and the humanities, and I understood the pride that they had in what happened there originally. To be sure, when they spoke of their friends and family who had been killed or badly maimed in the attacks, they cried. But then I watched, and there was a transformation in these people, and they started to express a determination, a real sense of purpose in making sure that those people no longer rule the good people of Iran. You could see it in their faces. You could see it in their eyes. I read body language, and it was there. I will say to you that, to me, the people of Ashraf, and of course, Madam Rajavi, are the heart and the soul and the face of this great movement. Point number 2, Iran. They are conducting proxy wars right now as we are here today in 2 nations, and they have armed militia interfering in the governance of 3 others, at least 3 others. Iran is one of 4 nations on the globe that has refused to acknowledge that terrorism is bad. And to my mind, Iran is hell-bent, whatever else the world is trying to do, Iran is hell-bent on bringing nuclear proliferation to the Middle East. I say proliferation because if Iran has a nuclear weapon, guess what? Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, they're not going to stand by and have that imbalance of power. So it creates a very dangerous situation. My belief is that the nation of Iran is in near collapse. Iran now has, I think, in everybody's estimation, a criminal for a president. The election was a sham. He was not elected, he was selected by the supreme leader. The election was in no way fair. Raisi has the blood of 30,000 of your countrymen on his hands. He was one of 4 members of that infamous death commission that oversaw 30,000 executions in 1988. As a result, he was condemned by Amnesty International, by the Human Rights Watch, by the governments of Italy and Canada. He is personally sanctioned by the last administration by virtue of an executive order. And I'm convinced that Khomeini knew all of this, of course, when he selected him to be the leader. He is saying to the rest of the world, deal with it, suck it up. Well, do we have to do that? Must we? I can't believe that we do. If we and the European nations start to deal with this person, then all we will do is strengthen that regime. Point number 3, revolution. Now, in the job that I held, you're always, I suppose, sort of an armchair kind of historian, and I've studied revolutions to a greater or lesser degree. When a revolution starts to take seed, there have to be factors that impact it: the social, the economic, the political. There has to be a level of unrest in all of those areas, exacerbated by internal or maybe external sources. Revolutions are most likely in non-democratic regimes where the people feel like they have no say-so in how they're governed, where there is mid-level to low-level economic ruin, where the man on the streets is barely being able to feed his family and sees no future for his children in that lifestyle, and yet he sees state ineffectiveness in dealing with all of that. My belief, folks, is that all those factors are present today in the state of Iran. It's increasingly lawyers were those who were at one point protesting in the street, as well as the rest of the intelligentsia of your nation is being arrested and thrown into jail themselves. And perhaps most disconcerting is that the regime has just in recent weeks rejected 5.5 million doses of top quality vaccine from the United States and from the UK simply because it comes from the great Satan. It's criminal. Thousands of your fellow countrymen will die, I believe, as a result of that very bad judgment. There's another figure out there. You know, when a nation is impacted by COVID, people will get the disease, okay? But only about 2% across the globe of populations who contract the disease will die in industrialized or non-industrialized nations. In Iran, that figure is 30%. It's inexcusable. The first role of a government is to protect its people. And yet here we have callous concern for your countrymen in the streets and in the towns and villages not being protected against this terrible disease. I read 2 editorials last week from pages from newspapers in the Middle East. They both said that this COVID could be the final straw, their term, final straw for this incredibly bad government in Iran, that the people may have had enough. And that means that their future may be limited to weeks and months, certainly not years and decades. We all will succeed. God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your conference.